Gruesome Magazine.
Hello, once again, I am Doc Rodden, and this is Gruesome Magazine, where we review the very latest in streaming and video on-demand horror movies. Each week, my co-hosts Jeff Mohr, Crystal Cleveland, Dave Dreher, Christopher G. Mohr, and myself will take a look at very spooky, scary, and gory genre offerings. Tonight, we're reviewing The Strings, streaming now on Shudder. Of course, we love Shudder, and we love their offerings. They have a really strong track record, so we'll see how The Strings sizes up to that. Let's introduce the crew, starting off with the one and only Jeff Mohr. Jeff, sir, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm good, thank you.
Very subtle. I like that.
Very low key.
Yeah, I know. Just kind of, we're all kind of mellow, hanging out. All right, that's cool. All right, also joining us is award-winning filmmaker Christopher G. Mohr. Sir, welcome to the show. Are you going to stick around?
Yes, I'm gonna. Are you okay? Are you drinking? For the rest of this review, I'm just gonna go smoke in the cold and maybe play my piano for 50% of this review.
Do a composition.
Oh my, yes, that is going to be so awesome.
I wonder what I'm talking about.
I wonder what you're talking. All right, rounding out the crew, the one and only Dave Dreher. How you doing, Dave?
Sup?
Talking
Low key.
Oh my gosh. All right. What we're going to do tonight is we're going to give a review of The Strings. We're going to start off giving our first impressions. That will be spoiler free. Then we're going to dive into a discussion, which will get into spoilers. And then we'll wrap things up with our final thoughts, our score 1 to 5, and our favorite scene. And then after that, if I can remember, we will do feedback. We have some feedback from some previous episodes, and I'm looking forward to that. Of course, we hope you enjoy not only this review, but many others that are on the site. If you want to help us out, it's easy and free to do. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, share with a friend. That helps an incredible amount. And of course, we'd love to hear your feedback down below, which we'll have some here shortly. Let's take a look at the card. The Strings 2021 on Shudder, available in theater. It's available November 23rd on Shudder. You know, I screwed up both cards this week, and that's just really what I do. All right, the director is Ryan Glover. The writers are Ryan Glover along with Krista Dzialoszynski.
Dzialoszynski. That sounds all right. Although
I kind of, if you didn't listen to it out of one ear and shut the other one, that sounds.
There's probably some silent letters in there somewhere.
Probably. The cast is Teagan, Johnston, Jenna, Schaefer, and April Aliermo. Synopsis: in the dead of winter, a musician travels to a remote cottage to work on new material, but soon finds herself under attack from a mysterious dark presence, which sounds like an awesome idea. Let's find out if it achieves that. Let's start out with the one and only Dave Dreher. Sir, what was your first impression of The Strings?
Oh, Doc. I don't even know where to start with this thing.
Yes, you do.
This was excruciating to watch. I guess the best way to put it. What did I text you, Doc? This morning, what did I text you?
You said it was so bad. It was like a turd shit itself.
Yes, it was like a turd shit itself. And that
was the word I was waiting for.
Yes, honestly, and I feel bad because obviously Glover, was that his name? The guy that wrote and directed this?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Mr. Glover, but this was horrible. It very well could be the single worst film we've ever reviewed on this show. I mean, it was really bad. I don't even know what it's so bad. I don't even know what to say about it. So little happens. How do we even comment on this thing?
We'll
Seriously.
Find out. We have.
I honestly, I really don't know what to say about it. I mean, the sixth time we looked at a blank doorway with nothing in it, I was like, "What the fuck am I watching? Why am I watching this?" I mean, he did that shot at least 5 or 6 times of just a doorway. It was just a doorway.
It was a doorway. What's down the hall?
Nothing. Nothing was down the hall. Yeah, this was. Yeah, I don't know. I'm hoping maybe Christopher and Jeff seen something in this that I couldn't, because I actually feel bad hating this movie this much. But yeah, boy, this was a big old steaming pile.
Whoa. Okay. Let's move on to Christopher G. Mohr. Christopher, what was your first impression of the strings?
Well, let me waft. The poo smells back Dave's way. Yeah, I mean it's this. There's the term slow burn. This is a slow bore. It's it does have some good qualities. I think there's about maybe 2 scenes. There's like one scene that actually made me jump. That's kind of well crafted, but this film feels more like an indie rocker doc about and it feels like the movie's more about being sort of an allegory for sort of writer's block to some degree. The main actress in this, she's actually part of a music group called Little Coyote, and she's a really talented singer. And some of the songs they use in the movie, I think, are supposedly some of her songs from her band and stuff. So she's a talented singer, but actress, not so much. Because she's very monotone in a lot of the scenes, and there's like parts of it where it's like somebody like took the boring parts of a documentary and put it into this film. It was like, let me show you laying down my rug, and let me show you setting up my piano, and then me testing different things on the piano, and me putting up a picture, and then I'm gonna go smoke outside, and then I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna go smoke outside, and then I'm gonna take photos, and I'm gonna smoke outside. And then it's like a Instagram montage of this creepy house, of all the different parts of a creepy house for no reason. And then I'm gonna go smoke outside. and
what are you trying to say?
Yeah,
well, I think he's trying to say turd. I think that's what he's trying to say.
I wouldn't call it a turd. I think it has some. The guy who directed it was a cinematographer, so I think it has some good shots in it. But story wise, it's boring, and then it almost feels like this feels like an artsy thing about like person sort of trying to deal with their writer's block, and the horror stuff just feels kind of thrown in for no reason. It feels like somebody trying to make an A24 film, but not being good, even good at the good parts.
And it comes out as an F3.
Well, yeah, it's
Dave.
Well, anyway, I think it was one of those films where I'm just thinking like, is something going to happen? and then there's stuff that happens at the end that it didn't make sense, and I'm like, and then it's one of those things where like, I don't know, I don't know what's going on in this. Is it all in this person's head type stuff, So I don't know. I mean, I'll give it props for those 2 moments that were kind of scary and creepy, but that doesn't make up for the rest of an hour and 10 minutes of her going out and smoking. Or running out in the snow in the nude, or whatever's happening in this that doesn't make any sense. This feels like more like, it just feels like a weird artsy film about the process of being a music writer, but not even that's not good at what it's doing. I don't know. I'm gonna stop rambling now. It's not.
So I'm comfortable in it.
Good.
Jeff will have liked this one. Come on, Jeff had to like this one.
All right, Jeff, sir, what was your first impression of
If it was set in the 18th century, he'd be loving this.
I think, I think, yeah, but then she wouldn't have been able to use the repeat mode on the.
It's true.
But I think Christopher might have something there. It might be some sort of allegory about the artist's experience or writer's block or something. But I think this is one of those movies where the writer and director know what this is about, but it doesn't come out on the screen. I'm the same as you guys. I was waiting for something to happen. I was totally put off by we're watching her go through the entire process of composing this one song, right? Mm-hmm. Adding these parts in and playing the riff over and over again, and then adding another part in, and then adding another part in, and I'm like, this is there's nothing horrific here. It's not adding any tension. It's not really telling me a whole lot about the character. You could have cut that down by 90%, that scene, and I would have got the same information from it. So I'm kind of also, because I hate to, there was a couple of jump scares, but it was nothing connected. Some doors slam, a chair moves.
Spoiler.
I spoiled.
Don't go into all the big effects.
I'm done. I didn't like it any more than. I'm probably closer to Dave than Chris even. It was just. I don't know. I forget what I texted you, Doc.
Shoot me now is what you said.
Poor Doc. All these texts.
Shoot me now I'm not going to go into the details of the rest of the text.
It's always my fault when I send you something.
So anyway.
All right. Yeah. So I really feel bad when I dislike a movie this much. Especially when it's so obvious this is a passion project, right? The writer director obviously has a lot of passion for the story and telling it, and probably has a not a romantic, but a relationship with the actress, and is telling her story along with it. And there's stuff there, and there's something they want to say, but I have no idea what it is. It's like Jeff was saying, it's not translated onto the screen, or at least not for me, and I suspect not for the three of you. It feels like Jeff, I think you said it best. It's like the writer and director know what they're trying to say, and it's in their head, and they see it on the screen, but out of context, I don't see it, and I don't get it, and I couldn't understand the lyrics. It was difficult to really get into it. It's not my type of music, so I wasn't really interested in it, and I wasn't engaged in her plight. I didn't know what the conflict was. I didn't know what we were trying to achieve. And then the ending is like, what happened? I saw something happen, but I don't know what actually happened. So I'm really confused, and it wasn't a fun experience. It was very, very challenging to watch and stay interested. Boring is a great word for it, and I hate saying that, but it is. It's just, I would imagine that if you know what this is about, there's some kind of something in here that we are totally missing, and you know what it is. I imagine it's not quite as boring as we have, but I'm hard pressed to figure out what that is. Christopher brought more to it than I saw. I did. But I dislike this movie. It is, I hate, like I said, we always hate doing that, but unfortunately this one didn't thrill me.
Well, me, it's like a lot of times I'd rather you show me than tell me, because we see a lot of these films where it's just like exposition is just over the top, but this is like, there's not really much dialogue, and the dialogue is it's almost like the boring version, the boring parts of conversations. Like we have a boring Zoom call. We have a where she's on the phone, and it's like a one long take where she's just talking, and you don't even know what's being said on the other side. So and it's just like normal, like, oh, I'll get on this now. Yeah, I'll get to it. Oh, I don't want to do that. It's like, and I know this feels like it's supposed to be a character study, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But it's this character I don't want to study. I don't. This is not something I'm gonna crack open the book and want to know more about, because the character is so kind of boring and monotonous and very one note, and I don't know if that maybe that if. I feel like the main actress, she has a beautiful singing voice, but as for an actress, I wasn't invested in her character. And then it didn't really make sense. A lot of things that were happening to where it's like in the house, like, because she wasn't really responding to it, I guess, in a normal type way, or
right.
Even by the end of it, you're like, why? Well, you just standing there,
I know, like, what's going on?
So there's like moments I was getting mad because, like, but then it's like I felt like she's like that throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's
I mean, we do get. I mean, one big line of dialogue is exposition, where it's telling the story of the family that owned this house before them, right? Where in the 70s this tragic event happened, and the husband and wife died, and that plays out for the rest of the movie. But it takes slow burn to the max. It really does take its time, and it never really escalates to anything noteworthy. It does kind of have like this finale that's kind of I think the only thing that I could come up with is kind of Blair Witches, like the end of Blair Witch, where after all that time you see this one shock and you're like, okay, it's not as effective as that by any stretch, but something does happen that's that appears to be very tragic and in the basement, but it's handled in a way that I'm not really certain I understand what actually happened.
Or if it happened,
or even if it did happen, right? Yeah.
To where like sometimes they say you have to kill your darlings when it comes to writing things. So it made me think, well, maybe this person is all made up. Maybe she's got to sacrifice certain things to be able to write. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know. To me, this feels like it feels like two different things. This is not like a Reese's peanut butter with chocolate and peanut butter. Ooh, this works to go well together. This is more like, hey, we have this thing, we have this, this ottoman, and we're going to throw cheese on it. It's like they don't.
Ottoman.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like
Two different things, right?
The two things don't go together. It's like you have these horror elements, and I'm interested in that. And I mean, you don't necessarily have to do that, but then it's like there's these long stretches, and then there's I've seen a few reviews with like, oh, I love the music. The music sounds like the opening menu to Halo. It's just sort of like, oh, all these choruses and stuff that doesn't really fit the movie. It fits a totally different movie. And you have that like you're building to something, but there's not really anything you're building to. All you're doing is going back to seeing this monotonous life of this person who's sitting there like pressing buttons on her computer or
singing into a microphone.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it ends with her singing her song, which I guess is the point of the story, but I don't know why, and I couldn't understand the lyrics, so I didn't get what's going on.
Well, I didn't understand. Doc, you said something about how the things she doesn't react to things correctly. So like when the chair moves, right? Doors slamming or creaking, that's one thing, but the chair moves. She's looking right at it, the chair moves, and she changes nothing about what she's doing or reacts in any way whatsoever.
Well, and I think that's the problem. She's not reacting at all. I think that I would have crapped my pants.
Well, she did go out and like look around one time, right? When the guy showed up at the foot of her bed or something.
But but then she's running out nude in the snow for no reason after that. I think that'd be the last first place I'd want to be nude if I know some creepy shadow guy is showing up in my bedroom. I'm not going to be running out in the snow in the nude.
Yeah, we're definitely missing the motivation for that.
I don't know if it's one of those things where it's more in her head, and maybe that's the point of it. To where it's not really her, it's more just mentally she's trying to work through things to write her song.
I sort of dumped on the act of her writing the song. I think it's interesting to see how somebody creates art in some way, and in this case, whether it's music, but that's not what I'm watching this movie for. That belongs in a different place for me.
I think even if you were, it doesn't, I don't think it projects that.
Well, but you have to show more interesting things for that. Like I've watched music documentaries before. I've seen like the Taylor Swift documentary. I've seen these different things. They're a million times more interesting than the horror elements in this. So it's like I think you just have to work out who you're the main this character study that you're doing. And make us to feel a little bit more invested. But I think the whole time this is like Stanley Kubrick and its coldness to where it's just as cold as the environment she's in. And I'm not connected to what's happening. And because she's not responding, I don't really care because I'm emoting just as much to this movie as she is to the environment. So I think that's the thing that's missing. And you can be all artsy fartsy and show all these different cool shots inside of a creepy house with stuff falling off the ceiling, but that doesn't make that's an Instagram montage video. That's not a movie.
Well, Dave, hey, you didn't get your blue and purple lights.
No. Actually, we could have used a little blue and purple lights. That might actually help this thing. I tell you what.
I knew you were going to say that. I said, okay, lob that one over. All right, let's go ahead and wrap this up. Let's give our final thoughts, our score, a 1 to 5, and our favorite scene. Dave, why don't you just take the floor and go ahead?
Oh, boy, geez,
tell us what you think.
You know what? Every movie that gets made, regardless of how bad it is, at least deserves a 1 for having gotten made. So this one's going to get a 1 for me.
Okay.
I think we're all on the same path with this. And even, listening, Christopher's added a little understanding to this maybe for me. But at the end of the day, it's just a bad movie. It just is, regardless of what they were doing. Whatever these filmmakers and writers were attempting to do, they failed. And and that's a shame. I guess it happens. Boy, favorite scene. Well, actually, it's pretty easy. It has to be the 5th time we see the doorway.
There you go.
Yeah, that's by far the best doorway was the 5th.
No, I agree. Yes. I agree with that. Who's next? Christopher G. Mohr. Are you next? What is your final thoughts, your score, and favorite scene?
Yeah, I mean, I think.
Yeah, you do.
I think there. I guess I'm trying to be nicer than definitely Dave on this, but at the same time, it's not worth it. Well, there's other films I was much more mean on, and I do see what they're trying to attempt, but it's a bad attempt. And I think it's interesting to do a character study, but you have to have a character that's
worthy of studying. Yeah.
That's worthy of studying. Yeah, I mean, literally. I mean, and like I said, the lady who plays the main character, she's got a beautiful singing voice. I actually went and checked out some of the music by Little Coyote. She's got a beautiful singing voice, but I don't know. I think this is so on the artsy end, and it has those little things that that allow it to be considered a horror film, that I think in those few moments kind of work. But overall, it's just it's taking those elements of like your movies about like tortured artists and stuff, but you put all the boring parts instead of the parts of being the and then you make it even more boring by throwing in like bad Zoom calls and phone calls that give you little bits of information but not really anything interesting, to where it's almost like you're bored, like when your family member's on the phone with somebody and you're looking at your phone because your phone's more interested in their conversation. And that's what I felt like some of these things were, because there's so little dialogue. There's such a small amount of dialogue. I mean, I feel like if you took the minutes of the dialogue in this film and you put it to the amount of time she's smoking a cigarette, she smoked the cigarette more than she probably talked. And not that you have to have that. I mean, you can have those crazy moments in The Shining and stuff where you don't have dialogue, but there's not enough here. There's not enough meat in this sandwich. It's all white bread with no flavor, and so by the end of it, you're like, okay, I'm going to be like that girl on the chair by the end of it if I have to watch or smoke one more time. So I don't know. I hate saying bad things about it, but I will say that those two creepy moments, if the film was more like that, it's okay. And I don't, again, you can make a movie a character study type movie if you have an interesting character, but this is like, it's not an interesting character to fulfill a full movie, especially when it's 50% of it is her just like setting up stuff or moving this or doing this or just walking out in the snow and smoking again. It's like, it's not interesting. So,
man, you really dislike that smoking. montage.
Well, I just like to me, it's like, oh, we need to get this movie an hour and a half. So let's add in another smoking scene. I mean, there's just so many of it. I mean, you could if you did a drinking game every time she smoked, you'd be going to the hospital.
You want to.
You
want to.
I'll give, and the music drove me batty. Halo music just drove me batty because it tried to make it bigger than what he was. I'll give it a 1.5.
Very good.
That's
Very
being
good.
nice. And I'll say the chair scene.
Okay.
Because I actually found that specific scene to be very creepy, and they kind of had moments that kind of built a little bit with shadows and stuff, which I kind of worked. And if it'd been more of that stuff interspersed, less smoking, more shadow figures, I like that because you built it. You knew something was going to happen, and when it happens, it made me jump, and so I was actually a little bit creeped out by that scene. But everything else.
Jeffsler, save us, sir. Well, what is your final thoughts, your score, and favorite scene?
Yeah, I feel bad about this too, but it just didn't translate for me. I don't know what this story was supposed to be in terms of the scary stuff. I know they talked about the previous owners of the house, but I thought, I don't know, somewhere I got the idea she was staying in like it was her aunt's house or something.
Yeah, like it was a totally different house. Yeah, I wasn't really sure about
so
that.
I didn't follow that. And if that happened before her aunt, then what happened to her aunt? Her aunt went on it anyway. And Chris was right. We have a phone call or a Zoom meeting where we only see one side of it, and you kind of get the idea because they talked about, oh, if you're gonna do this interview, and well, I told them they're not going to talk about this, and we told them that, and so then pretty soon, right away, I'm not going to talk about that, and so I think it was her breakup with the band, and maybe one of the leaders or characters in the band, I don't know. So, it may have been really personal to the people that made it, but it didn't carry any meaning whatsoever for me.
Yeah.
The introspection or whatever it was that was supposed to be going on was not. Yeah, it was like the boring parts of life, not the developed parts of life, that make you what you are. So, favorite scene, Chris took the chair. You mean when the chair moved? Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Chris? Oh, okay. So I guess I'll have to take when the guy shows up in the corner of her bedroom. You know what? I'm gonna change that. It's maybe the best scene, but in a way the worst scene. The opening scene where we see the guy walking across the landscape and the beach and stuff with bloody hands.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, oh, I wonder where this goes. Who the hell knows? What was that? I don't know. But that tweaked me a little bit. That got my interest up, but it didn't follow through at all. So I'm giving this a 1 too. A 1 as well.
A 1 too. I heard you. You said 1 too. I gave it a 12, folks. All right. This is a passion project for somebody that doesn't translate. It doesn't register. The music scenes where she's developing the music, it didn't feel framed right to really involve me in what she's doing. It was really kind of back and just kind of right there, just right on it. And I didn't feel engaged. And that made for a really boring, challenging experience to sit through this. Okay. Forgive me, but I would never sit through this if it wasn't for the show. I wouldn't have. I just wouldn't have. It really is just not engaging. And I mean, it does kind of get into it, and I'm not going to really repeat what everybody said. I really feel it's like an unfortunate problem because I think there's something in here, but I just don't know what it is. And I'm puzzled about the ending, and I'm puzzled about the purpose and what the conflict was. If I didn't see, Chris brought up some really interesting conflicts, but I didn't get that. I didn't see it. I missed it. So yeah, 1, but it's a begrudgingly given 1, but I can't give it anything better. It really is. It's not offensive, right? It's just boring. We've seen some films that I give it a 1, and I give it a 1 because not only is it bad, it's offensive, right? It's just like that really upset me. That pissed me off. This movie didn't piss me off. It just put me to sleep. It bored me. Yeah. So favorite scene. Well, thankfully Jeff didn't take my favorite scene. He relinquished it. So yeah, when the guy was standing at the foot, which is the guy that you saw at the beginning of the movie. He was the owner of the house that he threw the thing off the roof and it hit his wife in the head and killed her, and then he went and drowned himself. I think that was the story I heard, right? Did you guys hear the story or did
okay.
So that was him, and then I don't know. And we even get to see the box flying at one point. That was very strange. But it's on Shudder. Go watch it. Let us know what you think. Yeah, and I'm
tell us where we're wrong, guys.
Yeah,
tell us where we're wrong.
There's something we all missed. No, it's a bad movie. It's just not. It doesn't. I mean, I feel like if we really, really wanted to, Christopher, you and I could probably, all 4 of us could sit down there and say structurally why this doesn't work. It's right there. I don't want to get into it now at the 30 minutes in, but it's there's a lot going on here. But we have some feedback, so I'm going to do that real quick. Jeremiah the Pisces is back, and he has a comment on the movie The Feast we did recently. They made 3 movies back in the day called The Feast. I wonder, does this have anything to do with them? Monsters were monsters eating people.
Just called Feast. It was just called Feast.
Right. And unfortunately, Jeremiah.
Son, right?
Yeah. Unfortunately, Jeremiah, it does not have anything to do with Feast or Feast 2 or Feast 3. But I'm actually happy you brought those films up.
I love those. John Gulager. I wish he'd have made more movies.
Yeah,
I like John Gulager. I enjoyed John Gulager.
Already, yeah. All right, Dirk Rogers is here. We love Dirk Rogers, and he's talking about The Lair. And he says it's great to hear that Christopher has officially joined the Gruesome podcast. He always brings smart insight and a fun vibe to the proceedings. Huzzah!
Aw.
And now a killer beard as well.
A killer beard. Thank you, Dirk.
You're making me blush.
Yeah. Robbie Ivy.
Killer beard. That's going to be my next film.
Yeah, you threw me on that. Robbie Ivy is talking about the Lair as well and says, hi, Crystal, Christopher, Doc, and Jeff. Sorry, Dave, you weren't there. Another one to check out. Enjoy your day, guys. Thank you, Robbie.
Yeah, Robbie's been checking in a lot. Appreciate it.
So we appreciate the feedback. We want to see if we can start bringing some of it here into the show. So thank you very much. Just leave it down below. Christopher, Dave, Jeff, thank you for joining me. This I want to say it was a great discussion, but this is actually one of the ones I was dreading. But thank you for guys.
Well, you know what? They're not all going to be winners.
That's right.
They're not all going to be, you actually, we test our tolerance levels. Definitely.
If anything that we said sounds appealing to you, you should go check this movie out.
Yeah, maybe there's a few artists and stuff that might actually find some love for it in the process and stuff. So I don't know, it's all subjective, but I will not watch this film again.
All right, let's say good night, guys. Let's get out of here.
Good night.
Good night.
Gruesome Magazine.